So, did you ever ask a couple a question like, so how did you guys meet? And expect to hear some nice, pleasant, romantic story, right? Well, one time I asked this guy, and this is the guy I told you about, that was like, he looked like flea market Santa, and if you pissed him off, he could beat you to death with a bath towel or whatever else was lying around, like just go off on you. Anyway, so I said to his wife, so how did you guys meet? And they were together. They were like sitting there at the flea market. And she said, oh, it's like a real love story. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be good, right? So he goes, yeah, I remember it exactly. I was there in the playground. And I was like, oh, you guys met when you were kids? And I was like, no. I was there in the playground with my kids. I was just hanging out, watching the kids play in the playground, right? So I go, oh, okay. So I guess she must have had kids there too, or maybe she was a nanny. He says, no, she was playing. She was playing on the swings and going up and down the slide. And I saw her then and there, and I fell in love. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. She was playing, and then I realized, that they kind of have a big age difference. He was an older guy now. He was like around 70, 66 or something like that. And she was, I think, 50, early 50s. And I mean, maybe at one time she had been like very beautiful and stuff, but she looked like she had like a hard 50 years. And probably the hardness came mostly with dealing with this guy, because he looked like he drank whenever he could. And he talked about how he hated his fucking kids, and he just seemed disagreeable, So I was like, oh, well, so you met her at the playground? And he goes, yeah, and I fell in love with her. And I waited for her. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I waited till she was legal. I'm like, holy shit, how old are you? In my head. I'm like, because I didn't want to say, this isn't sounding like that great of a love story. This is kind of sounding a little bit like you're a bit of a pedophile, And she was like, yeah, it was so romantic. He waited. And I'm like, holy shit. Now, this is back in the 60s, so maybe you could have been like 16 when you got married or so. I don't even know, right? But I imagine if he waited for me, and he was like, I waited years for. And again, it does not really, it just didn't happen to sound like much of a love story at that point, because and the thing is, he was married, and he left his wife and kids to be with this kid, So anyway, that's probably the most fucked up love story that I ever heard.